Hi, this is Ted Wetzel, and I'm here with my good friend Ty Olson. Ty's got an awesome background, including uh, becoming an expert and wise beyond his years in the area of conflict. Um, uh, Ty and I have known each other now for going on 2 years, and truly, Ty is an expert and a guy with a big heart. Um, that wants to make a difference and has chosen this as a life path. So, looking forward to talking today. What could you enlighten us? I don't mean to put that kind of pressure on you. About the human nature of dwelling on the differences.
Yeah. In the field of conflict studies, we talk about people being stuck in their positions. And it really relates to this in that, like, we get stuck in this position, this one right way, or this one thing that we want. But in the process of doing that, we neglect our deeper interests. And I think that, in this, when we choose one way or the other way, and it's black or white, we miss out. We might be neglecting our interests. We might be compromising our values. We might be doing other things. And the world is not, it's not in black and white. It's in shades of gray and myriad, like many colors, right? It's so much more nuanced than we oftentimes approach it as. Getting out of that space requires people to be curious, to be willing to hear the truths in the other perspective, and be willing to entertain those different people's truths. And so, and it doesn't mean you have to give up your own, right?
Okay.
It's that you are willing to look, examine, learn, and understand a different perspective. And maybe that'll change yours. Maybe it'll shift yours from black or white to a shade of gray, right?
What comes to mind as you're describing that is like just the aging process. If we get out of our house often enough, we encounter a circumstance at work or in a relationship that it's like, oh my God, I could not have been more wrong than I was wrong. If I'm honest with myself, I have to admit, oh my God, how many other times did I think I was right and I was really missing the whole picture? But it seems like we have an epidemic of older people, me included sometimes, that still wants to be attached to something. Is it a cultural thing, or is it just me overreacting, or are we as a society maybe not open to the deeper wisdom?
It's not so much a generational thing, and I think it's partially cultural. I think in our Western world, like, people are valued when they're right, when they're smarter, when they can prove something, right? I was on this participating in this webinar last Thursday, and they were talking about the way that our culture is set up to communicate. We talk about this concept of dialogue, of like exchanging as something that we want to embrace. But this one guy was talking about this experience he had a couple of years ago in New York City, and there was a group of people that were gathering together, and the question came up in this group, is how do we use social media platforms to have dialogue? And a lot of people were like, oh, it's a great opportunity for people to come together and share and share photos or ideas or whatever. And then someone was like, well, what do we mean by dialogue? And they're like, talking back and forth, exchanging ideas. And there was this recognition in the group that that's not actually what occurs on social media. Social media is about is a platform for like showing how good you are or how smart you are
Ah,
or that you have the best idea or pushing your agenda. And there happened to be one of the high level C-level leaders in Facebook that were a part of this conversation. And one of the participants was saying, okay, so dialogue is about, listening deeply and learning from one another and trying to learn enough that you can begin to take the other person's perspective. And this C-level leader from Facebook said, well, then there's not one platform, social media platform on this planet that is dialogical in nature.
mm,
It's like, it's all about comparing and contrasting. And therefore, it's designed to utilize debate
mm.
as the primary form of communication. So I think all that to say, I think, we as a culture, both, no matter what generation you're a part of, but we are a culture that is based on a, historically based on a capitalist model, and capitalism thrives when debate is the primary mode of communication.
Mhm, mhm.
And so I'm
Illusion.
not saying capitalism is wrong all the time, but maybe we should adopt more conscientious forms of capitalism that allow and promote dialogue as a primary form of communication over debate.
It gets back to one of the main premises of the book is it's really about balance, folks.
Yeah,
We're just out of balance. We got to get back in balance.
yeah, absolutely.